Hello and welcome to the Bookish One. My name is Dan and today we've got something very, very exciting to talk about. Yes, today we're going to be talking about my book. So let's talk about it. Basically, I started writing in May 2020 in the midst of the UK lockdown, the first UK lockdown of 2020. And it was an idea that was bubbling in my head for probably about 5 or 6 years now. And I dug out the old notes and read through them and I reorganised them completely. And the end result is sitting in front of me, or at least the first draft. The end result of the first draft is sitting in front of me now. And here it is. This is my book. This is The Fires of Cerran. This is the first novel in a planned trilogy set in an epic fantasy world. It's swords and shields, everything like that. And yes, so this is it. As you can see, I've had the first draft printed out. It comes to 401 pages, 401, 402, I think. Yeah, 402 pages, which for a first draft isn't too bad. I think it works out at about 120,000 words, something like that, which again, it's the longest project I've ever worked on and it's taken the longest and I'm extremely proud of it. The reason why I've had this one printed out as an actual book is so that I can get people reading it and get some feedback to me, my beta readers, I suppose you'd call them. So I've got my girlfriend reading that at the moment and she's scribbling in that copy. I'm not bothered about that. She's found mistakes, spelling errors, grammatical errors, things like that. She's written little points about characters that she likes, doesn't like, things that don't quite make sense, things like that. And that's the whole point of this, to get that novel printed out, to get it as a book, to read through it, and then go into the second draft, which I'm really, really excited about doing. But what is it about? So as I say, this is my first take on epic fantasy. I've recently got back into reading epic fantasy. I've recently just finished John Gwyn's Malice, which is a stunning, stunning book. But I've always had an interest in epic fantasy. And so I decided to write one. Like I say, it's your classic swords and shields. It is more adult. There is sex in there. Not sort of Game of Thrones sex. But it is there. There is swearing. It's not grimdark. It's not like Abercrombie. It's definitely not Martin. It's not Tolkien. It's not Gwyn. It's my own thing, and really, that's the strange thing about when you write your own stuff, is that you constantly get people asking you, "Well, what is it about? What is it about?" And or what is it like, rather? And you've got to sort of say, "Oh, well, it's sort of like Game of Thrones," or "It's sort of like John Gwyn." It's my own thing, and that's all I can say. But it is classic traditional fantasy. There are magic systems. It's a medieval setting. There are dragons, as you could tell on the front cover. And just a quick note about this printing. So this is through KDP, Amazon. And so I'll just give you a closer look at that. I'm really happy with how this has turned out, apart from a couple of things. Okay, so let's point out the obvious. The T is kind of missing half of itself, but that's fine. We've also got a missing bit of text here, so there is actually a white bit of text which says the first book in the Black Arches trilogy, which this is. It's misprinted, that's fine. It's the first draft, I'm not too worried. I've also decided to go with a pseudonym. Again, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, on the cover, it does give my real name, along with the Fires of Cerran there. But again, these are issues that I can look at the second draft, third draft, things like that. What is it about? So, as I say, this is an epic fantasy, a high fantasy, set in my epic fantasy world of the continents. And the continents is a world sprawling from the furthest east to the furthest west. This trilogy and this novel centres around the west, okay? And these are the kingdoms of Cerebon, Lencia, Mormo, and places like that. And if we look here, we have actually got a map, okay? I don't know how well you can sort of see that. but you can see Cereborn, Teuton, Mormo, Lensia, Abbott's Ridge, places like that. So our main kingdom is Cereborn, and that is where the king rules. Okay, King Brodon II. This book is in his reign. It's been 20 years since he took power, and everything's sort of peaceful. Prosperity reigns supreme until a military stronghold called Cerran gets attacked by a dragon. Dragons were thought to be mythical creatures that fled further east thousands of years ago and honestly thought either wiped out, destroyed, extinct, or just sort of doing their own thing, okay? Until this creature arrives and the king assembles his own mercenary force called the Black Archers to defend the kingdoms against these beasts. The book opens up with our band of adventurers coming back from dealing with another creature that had attacked some small folk in a village, and we take it from there. That is a very basic plot of the book, but there's so much more. There's a hard and soft magic system. There's dealings against the crown. There's potential foreign invaders. There is a potential greater threat looming in these kingdoms as well. And it's very much a book about principles, about morality, about self-sacrifice, war, things like that. And as I say, it's my first ever attempt at doing something like this. And I will show you my notes. These are just a selection of my notes that I've printed out, and I've got absolutely loads of them. This is 6 pages, and then we've got all of this as well. And I've got loads on my computer, on my phone, everything. And I've got everything here from myths, legends, chronologies, lineages, things about the further west that we might never even get to see, things about the further east that I'm planning to use. As I say, the legends and myths, monsters, creatures, the political systems of different kingdoms and things like that. So this is a massive world for me, and I have taken inspiration from Martin and especially Tolkien. My research has led me to sort of real history, medieval history, and even further back into the Dark Ages, the Saxons, the Vikings, Romans, Greeks, the Mongol Empire, things like that. So this is a sprawling epic story for me that could take years and years and years to tell. But the Fires of Cerran is the first in a planned contained trilogy of books called the Black Archers trilogy that will follow our principal characters of Sir Raymond of Garth, Sir Lenren of Cerran, Astriel of Mare, and a young girl who appears to have dark mystical abilities called Melran. And yeah, so that's my book, and that's as good an explanation as I can give you at the moment. As I say, this is the printed out first draft, so I've still got 2 or 3 drafts to go. I'm hoping to get the book out on Amazon in paperback and Kindle by February next year. The page on there is already live to pre-order the Kindle copy, and you can do that just by typing in the Fires of Cerran on Amazon. Again, it might get pushed back, but it is there available to pre-order, but I'm fairly confident that we should be able to do that by February. The book took a lot of work just for this first draft, and as I say, I've been writing from May until February, sort of middle February this year. So just under a year, which is pretty good actually, but it's taken a lot of work, and I did have a little bit of a break in the sort of late summer between lockdowns when we sort of got back to work in the UK. But I've kept on researching, I've kept on sort of writing bits about the world and things like that, and I'm still doing that now. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. This world is so deep and so rich to me already. There are legends that I could talk about, that I plan to talk about if you find it interesting enough. I've got the chronologies of the world. I've got what happened in the further west. I've got the further east. I've got different projects bubbling away. But my main project is this book for now. and I'm just really excited about it. And it's something that I've poured my heart and soul into. And I would suggest that if you are thinking about doing this yourself, just do it. Just do it, because at the end of the day, you might be the only one that reads it or sees it, or even your partner or your friend, or, something like that. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because everyone starts in exactly the same place. We hear and talk about people like Sanderson and Martin and Tolkien and Gwyn and Abercrombie and all these amazing writers. They all started alone in their own writing rooms, or the famous story about Tolkien when he wrote on the back of the assessment paper, didn't he? In the ground there lived a hobbit. Terrible paraphrasing there. I should know that better, but we all start with an idea, and I do subscribe to the idea that the first draft is probably a wreckage of what you thought was a perfect idea, because there are already issues here that I can see and that I'm well aware of, but they're here. They're here in these 402 pages that I can work with. They're here on my laptop that I can rearrange, that I can delete, that I can rewrite, that I can pour my soul into again, and hopefully it'll mean a better product by the end of it. Whether I sell whether I sell no copies, whether these are the only copies that I ever print, whether the final copy is just on my bookshelf, I'll know that I've done it, and I'll know that I can be proud of it. So that is what I'd say to you. If you've got any questions or queries, please do write them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your own projects as well. But yeah, if you'd like to hear more about my fantasy world, I'd love to do a series based on this, about my writing, about the myths and legends of this world. I can talk to you about it for hours, because I've really enjoyed creating it, and I'm still creating it now. The magic systems, the world, the gods, the demons, the dark things as well. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.